cute
All
cowboy
right.
hat like you.
I love my cowboy hat.
I
Okay,
love
so
your
we
cowboy
are
hat
live.
too.
I was telling Cassie, hey Cassie, I was telling Cassie that, I last week I wore my gardener's hat. And so
Yes.
this week, when I first met my husband, I married into horses. And so now I have 3 horses. And he taught me how to ride. And so we'd go around and do all these little Western riding competitions. And so this hat is like pristine. It's like, it stays in the box. It only comes out for shows. And I haven't done one of those shows for, decade. A decade. And so it still fits. Luckily, my head didn't get fatter, just the rest of my body. But I told Cassie, it's not like yours, like you use it for a purpose. Mine's just decoration. But I thought I would wear a hat because today we've got some people coming on. We have Cassie Ubadlo, correct? And Cassie is from Upper Canyon Outfitters, and she runs an Equine Facilitated Learning. And I had the great opportunity to take the team through that last year. There was about 6 of us that went, and Cassie starts out and says, what do you want to gain out of this? And I'm like, well, I want to know why people think that I'm so intense all the time, because I don't feel like I'm intense, but people tell me I'm intense all the time.
You?
And
Intense?
no, and I'm not intense at all. And so anyhow, that was what I said I wanted to gain out of it to improve my leadership skills. Anyway, Cassie's going to talk all about that today and give us some relaxing tips, because you know what? This has been a while. An SLG headband is needed on my hat. I agree. But Krista, how are you doing? You have a new puppy.
I do have a new puppy. So I have rescued a neighborhood puppy that's been free roaming for a while. She's been kind of hanging out at our house. But we finally had a conversation with the previous owner, and we have taken possession. And she today, knock on wood, today's been a good day. She hasn't tried to bust through the electronic fence. So far, no accidents this afternoon. And we haven't eaten anything we weren't supposed to. So I think that's a win.
That's a win.
Yeah.
That's a win. That's a win. Well, Cassie, tell us a little bit about you. So everybody knows you run Equine Facilitated Learning, but tell us a little bit about you and your life at Upper Canyon Outfitters. How is COVID-19 treating you guys?
So we're in Southwest Montana, and we're pretty isolated. So the social distancing came quite naturally.
That was a great way to say that. I like that.
Yeah.
Quite naturally.
So life here, it feels like we look outside and we don't see anything different. But we know that it's been really hard for people that are in less remote areas. And so, we've been trying to think about them when we get to go outside and, work with the horses or do whatever we're doing around here. The one thing that is different is that we are in the travel industry because we're a guest ranch. And so that's concerning. But so far, our clients have stuck with us, and things are hopefully starting to look up. And we're hoping to have a good season, not as good as it was going to be, but still good.
Still good. I'll tell you guys, Upper Canyon Outfitters has fly fishing, has hunting, has horseback riding, has buggy rides. Like, I can't even think of all the things that you guys offer, but so much. So we want to talk to you a little bit today about the Equine Facilitated Learning, because you know what? I am flipping stressed out. I'm a strong person, but this is starting to get a little unnerving. I'm ready to get back to reality. And it causes my mind to think all kinds of things. So tell us about that program and how that works.
Sure. So I grew up here at Upper Canyon Outfitters, and then I got to be around the horses my whole life, and I learned a lot from them. I didn't realize how much I was learning from them until I left and went to college. I got my undergrad in psychology and my graduate degree in counseling and education. And then I went and worked at a high school with at-risk students, and I found myself falling into the same mind frame that I am with horses around those students, and they reacted really positively. I started to realize it has a lot to do with what you bring to a situation and the things you can control, which turns out is only yourself, as we all know, because we're all stuck at home because a lot of things are out of our control right now. And so I just was able to mix my formal education with the opportunity growing up with horses, mix those two. And I created the Equine Facilitated Learning program. And there's lots of parts to it. There's a veterans program where we just work on building the relationship with the horse. And then corporate groups, which like your group came and we did some leadership, some more kind of self-awareness pieces, because the horses are brutally honest. And so if they tell you that they don't feel safe around you, there's no two ways about it. It's just something that you're doing that fortunately you can change if you have awareness. And then individuals, just clients that come here that want to learn more about horsemanship and about themselves through horsemanship skills.
That's awesome.
I was going to say the word's not there. It's impressive because you took something that we all may experience in everyday life, whether it was through school or through your education, and mixed it with something that you enjoyed and loved outside of that. That's amazing.
Yeah, I feel very fortunate. Yeah.
So I'm curious. I mean, I have visions about what this looks like in my head, So Karen has told me about the team's experience from last year. It's actually one of her team building talking points and looking at things. And she reminds us often when maybe we need to take a little bit of a breather, rethink things and what we're going to do. But in my mind, because I've never experienced it, I have this vision of yoga mats and horses doing yoga and people doing yoga and a lot of and breathing. And
oh my gosh,
experience.
It's not goat yoga.
A lot of people have that image.
Okay, good. I'm not alone then.
No, not alone in that. I work really hard to have a really grounded program. And so, well, we do mindfulness and deep breathing. It's more about being present. And so a horse is present in the moment because they're a prey animal and we're a predator. And so as predators higher up on the food chain, and we've evolved to this new mental place, we have a list in our head. And so today, for example, Krista, you're here with us. You're on this current webinar situation. But in the back of your mind, you're probably like, what is that dog doing? Is she listening? And maybe trying to sneak peek. And you probably have this list of things happening in your brain right now. And horses don't have that.
The list is longer than I can ever even tell you.
And so horses don't have that. Their list goes about like this. Am I safe? Am I eating? Am I drinking? Am I safe? Am I eating? Am I drinking? And also, is the herd near me? So that's a piece of safety though, right? The horses keep each other safe. So us as predators and humans, we get around a horse and we have that list of things going. And the horse picks up on that and it's not really comfortable around us. And so I do breathing and mindfulness, but only to get people grounded and in the moment. There's no yoga. There's no yoga mats. But there is deep breathing. So you had that part.
That's just the visual of what you just described in my own head with my own list is kind of amazing. I hope that I get to potentially experience something like that someday and kind of reflect back into myself. So if there is no yoga mats, how does this work? I mean, this just how does it happen?
So the first thing we do is an exercise that I'm actually going to get to go through today with this. It's not going to be quite the same because we're not outside or on the horses, but it's still effective. But what we do is I walk people through that, and there's no horses around for that piece. And then there's a lot of safety briefings throughout because horses are big animals, and we just have to be mindful and respectful of their nature. So there's a lot of safety talks. And then what I'll do is I'll introduce you to a horse, and you'll have the opportunity to groom them. And so that's like combing the horse. And some people get their brushes taken away. Karen, did you get your brush taken away?
No, but I did get you to come over to me and say, would you look at your horse? Is your horse relaxed? Is your horse happy? What are you doing? And I'm like, I'm brushing the horse. And you're like, take your horse breath. And that's what Chris is referring to. And I'll tell everybody about that. But let's run everybody through this exercise. Y'all, this is really great. Just play along because you're going to enjoy this.
Okay. So just to set everybody up on when I do this is we're sitting outside. Unless it's raining, then we're sitting in a barn. And so you can still have access to nature. And so some of the wording you'll have to get creative with just so that it'll work in your current situation. But so I'll go ahead and just start. So go ahead, and if you're comfortable, you can close your eyes. If that's not something you're really comfortable with, you can leave them open. And what I want you to do is I'm just going to guide you through a few exercises, and I just want you to pay attention to what I'm saying and try to follow them. So first thing you're going to do is you're going to take a few deep breaths. And what I want you to do is I want you to breathe deep enough that you fill your lungs completely. So you're going to breathe in and you're going to breathe out. And you're going to go ahead and you're going to do this a few times. I'm going to do it with you.
I hope everybody's out there breathing.
Now go ahead and focus your energy on any sounds of nature around you. And a lot of us are indoors right now, but luckily Krista is somewhere that there's a lot of nice bird sounds. And so you can focus on that. So go ahead and keep your eyes closed. Continue to breathe and just focus on any sound that comes from nature. Now, as you're doing this, your brain might start to go off, maybe notice some noises that aren't part of nature, or maybe start to think about other things. What I want you to do is I don't want you to ignore those things. I want you to simply acknowledge them. Take a deep breath and return your focus to the sounds of nature. And we'll just do this for another minute or so. Now go ahead and shift your focus to the sense of touch. So if you are outdoors or maybe in your window and you feel the sun somewhere on your body, go ahead and focus on that body part. Just think about how that feels. Maybe there's a breeze. Maybe it's just the air on your skin. And go ahead and focus on that and continue to breathe. Now go ahead and shift your focus to the sensation of being grounded to the earth. So maybe your feet are on the ground, and that can be the ground of your house, or maybe you're outside, or maybe you're just being supported by a chair. However you are right now, I just want you to focus on that support and feeling grounded. Take your nice deep breaths, slow, and just focus on being present. Now you can go ahead and shift your breath and notice how it feels to breathe in and out deeply. Just notice how that feels. Now, when you're ready, you can go ahead and wiggle your toes or your fingers, whatever. Take a deep breath and you can slowly come back and open your eyes when you're ready.
I feel more relaxed already.
And so what that is that's just an exercise in becoming grounded and present. And the horses really appreciate when we make that effort. And so the next step would be grooming the horse. And when people focus on being present, the horse will actually give signs of relaxation, which for a prey animal to be relaxed around a predator, that's a pretty big deal. That means that you're actually doing something proactive to help them feel comfortable. They'll lick their lips, they'll rest a foot, they'll drop their head, and they'll take a deep breath. And so I call that the horse breath. And that's just that taking the deep breath and getting grounded and present.
Yep. So, Cassie, I'm going to ask you to put Krista on the spot. Can you ask her some of the questions that you asked us in after that little exercise? Do you remember?
Okay. So, Krista, what are some of the things you noticed about the exercise? Like, what maybe was the thing that stood out the most to you?
First, I noticed that my shoulders were really, really, really tense. And it wasn't until the second time, or when you spoke about accepting the non-natural sounds and then letting them go, that I felt like I actually relaxed.
Yeah, nice. That's perfect, because the thing is that oftentimes if we try really hard not to put our energy on something, pretty soon that's all of our energy is concentrated on that one thing. And oftentimes if we just acknowledge it, allow it, and then try to move past it, big things can happen. And so that's good. I'm happy that that was something that stuck out for you. That came up, that whole thing came up because my parents are the ones that run, or they live here on the ranch. They're the bosses. And whenever I'm doing this exercise, my dad gets in a Ranger, not on purpose. He's just a busy farming guy, but he gets in a Ranger and starts driving around. And I'm, doing a mindfulness exercise, and I tell people, go ahead and acknowledge the sound of the Ranger, and then let's move past it.
Well, I think somebody acknowledged the sound of the dog barking, which is probably my dog barking. I don't know if y'all can hear them in the background, but they're like going nutso.
Yeah, but so I can hear traffic in the distance.
Yeah,
because it's still night, so I can hear it. But I was able to get rid of all that, which is kind of nice.
Yeah. And that distraction always is going to be there, and we can choose to move beyond it. And there's a lot of exercises with the horses that there is distraction. But it's really easy to focus in on a 1,000-pound animal. There's an element of fear there sometimes, which I always call a healthy, respectful fear. And that's not a bad thing to have.
So I want to tell the group how this really impacted me. And Cassie, you can explain the psychology of it, because I only know what happened. I don't necessarily understand why it happened. But so we did this exercise. We went in. I'm trying to figure out why people always think that I expect too much or I'm so intense. And we go into this, and my task is to groom the horse, right? And I have horses. I'm around horses. No big deal. I can groom the horse. And I get the curry comb out, and I go to work, and I'm working with the curry comb. And then Cassie comes over and asks, how's your horse doing? I'm like, horse fine. And she says, well, look at what the horse is doing. The horse got one ear pinned back. He's heads up, and she said, you need to take a breath. And that's where we all came to horse breath, because I stood there and I was like, she's right. I'm just doing a job. I'm step 1, step 2, step 3. Mm-hmm. And I took a second and I did my breath control that we did there, that mindful exercise. And I kind of put myself in a relaxed state of mind. And I'll be danged if the horse did not all of a sudden start licking its lip, drop its head, lift a foot. It was remarkable how my actions impacted that horse. And it's something I never realized, that my, list of things that I go through is actually affecting the people around me. Mm-hmm. I didn't know. Right. Mm-hmm. So why is that? Explain that to me.
We always forget that
we only have 30 minutes. You might not be able to solve all my problems.
It's actually really easy. It's just that we forget, because we think we're all high and mighty, but we're actually humans, and we're capable of picking up on energy, and we're capable of putting it out there. And that's really all it comes down to. It's just the horse's feedback gives us that honest answer. When me as a human, I can be like, hey, Karen, I love your hat. And you're like, she likes my hat. And then she might be like, does she like my hat?
Yeah.
Because, as humans,
is there something wrong with my hat?
Yeah, as humans, we can't always trust each other. But yeah, the horse is telling you the energy you put out there, and then you had the control to change it.
Yep. And so that lesson has changed everything about my leadership style, which I didn't think that I needed to change my leadership style, but it has. And the whole team, they'll tell you, I'll be like, okay, hang on. I'm just going to take a horse breath for a second, because I'm really not upset with anybody. Everything is fine. I'm just understanding that this situation is making me a little checking my lists off. Right. And so it's hilarious. They all laugh and like, horse breath. Just let me take a horse breath. I need a second. So Cassie, how can people find out more about, and we'll put a link on here too, but how can they find out more? And if they have a group that wants to come to your, do they have to come and do a whole ranch stay, or can they come out and do just Equine Facilitated Learning program, or what's it look like?
So I have a course that can be, you guys had the pretty abbreviated course. So I think we did it in 4 hours. We can go, I do military trainings that are 3 days, but so it can be anywhere from a 4-hour course to a 3-day course. And then we of course offer all the other activities, the fly fishing, the horseback riding, all that other fun stuff where you don't have to constantly, be working on yourself.
Right.
And so we're really flexible is the answer, is that we can kind of fit things in however, and oftentimes groups will come and they'll be able to use our conference room for any kind of team building that they want to do separate from us, or meetings or whatever it may be. So.
Great. And Cassie, can you tell us so you told us your why of you did this. Can you tell us one of your most impactful stories that's come out of what you've been able to accomplish in joining your passion and your knowledge together?
So one of the most powerful moments with the horse and a human, or
just your story, like whatever comes to mind of really, this is when I'm like, I know I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
So the first one, it was with the corporate retreat group, and it was just incredible how it all came together and how well the horses can read a situation, and all I have to really do is facilitate it. And I really love corporate groups, but my very favorite is definitely working with veteran groups and the horses, because there's a piece of having experienced what it's like to not always assume your safety, right? And so a prey animal, they don't assume their safety. So like right now, I'm a predator. I haven't been in a ton of traumatic situations. I'm assuming my safety right now. My guard is down. But a lot of the veterans, they can really connect with the horse on that level. And it's like they understand it at a deeper level. But the horses also call them out so well. It's just the best thing to watch. So I was working with a gentleman, and he's Air Force, and his job was to pick up the horse's foot. And so he's like, oh yeah, I'll get that foot. And so he walks over there, and he is trying to lift the foot, physically lift the horse up. And I was like, I'm going to let you guys work that out for a minute. And so I just walked away. I come back, and that horse is grounded. He's not moving. And this guy's over there like giving it his all. And as humans, we can be strong individuals, but we'll never be as strong as a horse. And so I said to him, I said, hey, have you tried asking him to lift his foot? At this point, he's not a happy camper. And he says, no, what are you talking about? Of course, I'm just trying to lift his foot. And I said, go ahead and let's try asking him. And so he goes down there, kind of muttering what baloney this is. He goes and squeezes the foot like I show him. And the horse is like, oh, sure, I'll lift my foot for you. And you could see his whole brain shift. And he was like, sometimes I have to ask. Like, I can't just like push my way through. And it was a really incredible moment. And his wife was actually in the same session. And he looked over at her and was like, he just wanted to go and be like, listen to what I just learned. Horse's foot. And it was a really powerful moment. And that was definitely one of my favorites.
That's awesome.
That is awesome.
Christy, you have any questions?
No, I'm ready. When do we go?
Oh,
I need this. I need it.
I actually think we have a trip planned to UCO this year. God willing, we all can get on an airplane and go. Otherwise, I'm going to drive. I don't care how far it is. Yeah, we're excited. I'll tell you all, if you haven't ever looked at Upper Canyon Outfitters, Google it. We'll put the link up. But it is really one of the most magical, beautiful places I've ever been in my life. I leave there every time with a renewed sense of peace and just accomplishment, because if you go hike and you hike up a mountain and you get to the top and you hike back down the other side, I don't know how many of you have ever done that, but it's really not that hard but the feeling of pride and, oh my gosh, I just did that in a day. Like I did that. And it's such a great feeling. And it's one of the things I love about outdoors. And Cassie, your program definitely changed my life. I thank you for that. It really did. It made me a better leader. It made me a better person all around, because now I realize, even with my family and my children, I realize that, you know, I look back and think, man, I wonder what would happen if I'd had that when they were in grade school. Because then maybe I wouldn't have been like, you've got this, 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 and this to do. I could have like taken my horse breath and realized that I was making them more anxious than they actually needed to be, just by my persona. Not that I'm anything wrong with me, y'all. I'm okay, but I'm a little intense. I have my list, like Krista, and Krista and I are a bad team because she has her list and I have my list, and together I think our list could like wrap around the United States once or twice. But Cassie, do you have anything you'd like to leave our viewers with? We're almost at 25 minutes and we try to stay under 30.
So you kind of just touched on something I think that's really important to talk about, is that I talk a lot about congruency in this work. And so horses, they like a person that what's on the inside matches the outside. And so there's nothing about, the horse isn't looking at me being like, wow, Cassie's really feeling it today. She's really in touch with how she's feeling. I'm really proud of her and her mental health today. That's not what my horse is thinking at all. My horse is thinking, okay, I sense and I see the same thing and they match. It must be okay. If I go out there, I'm having a bad day and I'm acting like I'm totally happy, my horse is going to be like, this isn't matching. Something doesn't feel safe. And so we work a lot in the class about congruency. And so what you were just talking about, it's all about congruency, and it's not easy, right? And so if you're feeling frustrated, sometimes the best thing to do is, I'm frustrated right now. And then you can move past it. Just like Krista, what you were talking about, acknowledging something and then being able to move beyond it.
Right. And making it match. I mean, that makes sense even with humans, right? So basically taking ownership or holding yourself accountable. And essentially for me, it would be checking it off the list and we move on.
And so, yeah, just congruency and deep breaths and being present. Those are basically, that's the foundation of my program.
It's awesome. Oh, you're awesome. Krista, it got night where you're at. You're on the West Coast. She's on the East Coast, and I'm in the middle.
The safety light just came on. Hello.
Cassie, I can't thank you enough for coming on tonight. I really appreciate it. We try to, and I'm excited. Ladies, do you have any feedback? Did you guys enjoy the exercise? Let us know, because I didn't ask you, but can we get a little Upper Canyon prize pack to mail out to a winner? Is that okay? I'm putting you on the spot, but like tea, because I just had my last bag of tea from the very best tea that they have out there. We'll share, comment, let us know what you thought of this, because we'll do a little prize pack from Upper Canyon Outfitter and we'll get it out to you. I don't know how their post is running, but it will good. We'll get it out there soon. Sorry, I'm stuttering. But I can't tell you, I'm so excited. I can't wait to see you guys. Give your best to your mom and dad and your husband and your son. Y'all, Kath, she looks young, right? But she's got a little boy. So he's 7 now, 8.
I have a 7-year-old and a 3-year-old.
And a 3-year-old, yeah. Whew. And runs a ranch full time and does this equine facilitated learning. And when school's in session, I think she does a lot of volunteering work up at the school as well. And Cassie, you're just an amazing woman. You inspire us all. And we're so glad for your program. And hopefully you get some business out of this. But if not, ladies, I hope everybody watching got something out of it tonight. I know I did, because it reminded me of those things I need to do for myself to make sure that I'm matched, that I'm congruent, right? So Thanks. Krista, you have any closing thoughts?
Thank you so much for joining us. This has been wonderful. And this is the best time, I think, in this last bit of weeks, right? So we're probably, depending on what state you're in, you're running between a 4 and a 6 week cycle of a new, different space. And it's weighing on people. Mm-hmm. And to give them a moment where they can just take that breath and understand why they're taking the breath and what they need to focus on to help them move through, I think will help a tremendous amount of people. So thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks. All right, Cassie, we'll see you soon. Everybody have a great night. Remember, when life gets bad, just take a horse breath and you'll be all right. You guys have a great night. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.